Welcome, everybody. It is Business Monday, and it is a little overcast outside on Business Monday here at the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. It's been a beautiful day so far. Megan Decker is here from G Media Studios off the wildly successful blockchain summit in Rhode Island. Let's talk a little bit about it.
Yes, the very first blockchain summit in Rhode Island was an awesome kickoff. And we had an exciting 2 days last week that we're really excited that you could be a part of.
Yeah, it was great.
Thank you very much for joining us. Shows that G Media is able to really throw an amazing event to put together in a short period of time.
Yeah, just so people, if they didn't have a chance, there was a lot of coverage by us and by other media organizations of it, about 80 to 100 of top-tier blockchain technologists, financiers, innovators from around the world came into Providence. Some of these, entrepreneurs, the founder of Vonage and Voice over IP. You work with Jeff quite a bit, and Steve, the founder of Alchemist. These are some of the smartest guys in technology in the world, and they came into Providence, and I think it was a really good couple days for what Rhode Island's good at. You guys were tremendous pulling it together in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, GoLocal beats up Commerce Corporation on a regular basis, but give them a lot of credit. Stephen Pryor and his team, they were all there. They brought the right players to the table to have conversations about what the industry would need to move into Rhode Island.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it's always exciting and fun when you bring together the kind of folks that were in the room for this event.
Right.
We had the governor there who's, supporting this initiative. We have Jeff, as you mentioned, who's the VP of Alchemist, along with Stephen, who, is the founder of Alchemist and, played a big part in the creation of Ethereum. So you bring in between the political side of Rhode Island, G Media, and these really smart people in this space who, are not only playing in the blockchain technology space, but they're investing and they're supporting this landscape to make this a really successful opportunity. And they want it to be in Rhode Island, and we want it to be in Rhode Island. And it's a great opportunity to bring a huge amount of jobs here and corporations. So we're excited. People from around the world, as you mentioned, came in. And they have the network and the support team behind them to really make this happen. So we're extremely excited.
Listen, Rhode Island's not the only state that's trying to woo many of the leading companies in blockchain. And, blockchain is a multi-billion-dollar business sector that will grow into a multi-trillion-dollar business sector in the next 2, 3, 4 years. IBM has functionally repositioned their entire corporation. I was listening at lunch break to a couple of the entrepreneurs from Florida. They had all been wooed into Savannah, Georgia, and Savannah, Georgia, and Georgia officials put on the best, rolled out the red carpet for them there. But did really seem to be a connection with Rhode Island officials. Governor Raimondo often gets criticized for not connecting with Rhode Islanders. She sure connected in that presentation. That was her sweet spot. And she presented for about 20 minutes and wowed the crowd.
Yeah, people were thrilled to get the opportunity to talk with her. Just her vision of what this can be. And I think it's just a great opportunity for startups and these established companies in blockchain or cryptocurrency to lay roots here in Rhode Island. We have the infrastructure in place. We have a lot of our clients now are out in New York and in Long Island.
Right.
It's a quick train ride. We Boston here. We have this. It's affordable. It's efficient. It's a great spot for this to happen here.
The other interesting component of it that I thought made a connection between these entrepreneurs is the college, who the colleges are producing. And Rhode Island is not particularly good at retaining their graduates. It's the second worst DMA in the country at 70% of college graduates coming out of Rhode Island universities and colleges leave the marketplace. But it also shows what the opportunity is. The opportunity is that if you create a bastion of cool technology companies, you can start retaining those who are graduating from computer science from Brown, or engineering from URI, or from PC, or Johnson & Wales, or all these places. Huge opportunity to really reinvigorate the Rhode Island economy to another level.
Absolutely.
You guys pulled this together. You brought people in from around the world. You got the governor there, the Speaker of the House, media there. You picked venues. You had them down to Newport.
And thank you for your help, by the way.
As an agency, how the heck did you do it in 2 weeks?
I didn't do it.
No, you're supposed to take credit for all the good stuff, and then
I know.
Right.
I could take credit for it, but really, it was definitely the team behind me.
Yeah.
So, we're a small agency, but we're a robust team, and they're smart. We worked a lot of hours.
Right.
We pulled in a lot of other stakeholders. The Alchemist team, their support, their help. It's always nice when you have a client like them, where they're really around the clock, working with us hand in hand in collaboration.
They're beyond around the clock.
Yeah, we hang out on the weekends.
Yeah.
I get worried if I don't have a 4 a.m. text on a Saturday. But no, you know what? We appreciate that, because I'd rather constant communication than lacking. So we all kind of dug our heels in, worked together. A lot of the Rhode Island government officials were extremely supportive and helpful as well. Absolute shout out to them. And our network as well, it's nice being a small agency in Rhode Island and the access of our network, that we're able to bring our clients and help broker these opportunities with the state and really set up something like that was really unique and different that I don't think a lot of companies can offer up.
The success certainly was those 2 days. How does the success of those 2 days turn into the long-term success? What's the follow-up? What's the connections? I know certainly one of the most important issues to the technologists who are building out this industry is what's the regulatory structure? And Wyoming has been at the forefront. I didn't get a wild, and I don't want to speak out of school, but I didn't get a wild success that all these guys who work out of New York and California and Utah and Florida and Israel and Europe and Asia want to move the entire industry to Wyoming. No disrespect to Wyoming in any way, shape, or form, but Rhode Island has an opportunity, and part of it's a regulatory structure. And what does Rhode Island need to do to kind of make this happen? Here's a chance, we're the creators of the Industrial Revolution. This might be the next Industrial Revolution. Certainly has the impact of what the first .com era and the building of the internet was for Silicon or Boston. This has kind of a similar situation of really significant opportunities for employment and transforming an economy. How does Rhode Island, G Media, et cetera, take advantage of this new dialogue that we're having?
Sure. So I think it's going to be really important that, I think actually a lot of the folks were very excited, obviously, about the opportunity for Providence, because we do have the infrastructure. From a transportation perspective, you know me, even I, not from Israel, obviously, but I commute from Connecticut and New York twice a week to Rhode Island, and it's easy peasy. But I think we're going to have to make it we're going to have to continue to make the conversation enticing, the opportunity enticing, to keep everybody excited and interested in doing this. But I think we've set the stage, and I think everybody's interested in continuing the conversation.
The growth of this technology sector is, moving at lightning speed.
Yeah.
Governments don't always move at lightning speed. How do we make sure that everybody understands, and I don't want to say the urgency, because that gives it a false light. It's just the reality. The reality is that entire business sectors are going to transform how they transfer information, transfer money, leveraging a far more secure technological infrastructure, i.e. blockchain. And no one's waiting for it, Bank of America, et cetera, et cetera. So how does that happen at the level of speed that it needs to so that we don't sit here a year from now going, oh, that was such a good summit, darn, too bad Boston won again.
Yeah,
right?
Which we obviously don't want to happen. Well, the conversations haven't stopped.
Right.
So that's the one good thing is, the summit might have ended after we had some lovely lobsters
Right.
and clams, but the conversations have not stopped. There's a lot of buzz around what happened from all parties, G Media, the government, and a lot of these companies. We've already had a lot of the guests reach out to us.
Yeah, that's great.
And they're excited to hear what those next steps are. So as the conversations continue, we're excited to share them with you as they unfold.
That's great. We enjoyed
Did I
it.
answer your question?
Yeah, you did a little bit. Well, that the conversations continue to happen and that they are moving forward.
Yeah.
Let's shift a little bit. Let's talk about how the responsiveness of your agency to be able to take advantage. One thing that should be mentioned was this was private sector funded. This was not funded by Rhode Island state government. It was funded by Alchemist and
Correct.
other sponsors of the summit.
Yes, this is a thought leadership forum to bring all of the right folks together to have some engaging, smart conversation.
And how do you leverage that and transfer that ability to kind of move lightning quick, be incredibly well organized, have some creativity to it, to other applications within communications, technology, branding, public relations, and all the other spheres that you guys work in?
How will we bring blockchain in?
No, how do you leverage, how do you continue the conversation about your agency's success and explain it to other business sectors to be able to take advantage of what you are able to do in blockchain?
Sure. I mean, just alone from the conversations that we were able to be a part of at the summit, specifically in blockchain.
Yeah.
It's been very interesting. These conversations started before and after with a lot of these ICO startups and a lot of the people in this space where you have these brilliant folks that are starting up these investment companies, but from an advertising perspective, it's lacking.
Yeah.
So we're really supporting from a creative design and communications platform a better way for them to set the stage for themselves.
Yeah.
A few of them that I've seen, we've had to kind of refix and tweak because it's so new. Like you said, it's ever changing, and a lot of these sites are set up looking B2C,
Yeah,
and they're
okay.
supposed to be B2B. But we're just leveraging all the communication channels from Twitter's big in this space,
Yeah.
even though we're seeing a huge decline in
Yeah.
Twitter, obviously. But
And
that's
we'll talk social media in a moment.
But that's where the conversation is happening in this space, and so from that and just really keeping a pulse on digital.
You guys work in technology, you work in the insurance industry with one of the largest U.S. insurance companies, MetLife, and you work in a range of different segments with a number of leading brands. What are you seeing from a global standpoint of what's the change? You know, you're seeing big Boston agencies a fraction of the size that they used to be. Same's happening in New York. You know, offices used to have 2,000 people and now they have hundreds of people. How do you guys take advantage of that? The smaller, more nimble size, the more strategy. Talk about that a little bit as you build your business.
Sure. I mean, especially for G Media specifically, you know, when I came on board, we were doing a lot of experiential engagement marketing. That was really because a lot of our large national and global clients we were playing in that space. And I know, you know, as I've mentioned, my background's primarily always been from the client side in brand marketing and in brand strategy, coming over to the agency side as well. So working on big brands right down to smaller, mid-sized brands, I think what it comes down to is we're all looking at our marketing dollars and where we're getting the ROI, and it's unbundling what we bundled and unbundled again from media and creative. Like technology is going to be the driver,
Right?
And that's going to end up being the driver of the creative and the media, not the creative or the media arm running it.
Huge changes in media. You know, today, this morning, we announced the addition of 2 new hosts, a new columnist,
Yes.
a new chief operating officer, a new reporter. Later in the day, the Providence Journal announced that 4 of their Veteran reporters were taking another buyout. That reduces their staffing to, a number of reporters in the mid to low teens. You're seeing everything transform and how to get the message out. As an agency, how do you assess, move, where to put the money, how to move the money, et cetera?
I think for us, it's really important that we're focusing on the bigger picture of what our clients are looking to do. So, we get a lot of requests being a small agency. Oh, we need a video done, or oh, we need a photo shoot, or something small. And for me, it's really coming back to, well, why are we doing this, or why do you want to do social? Why do you want to do a PR event? Because I think at the end of the day, once you start unbundling the reason why, it might be very, very different from what they want to achieve.
Right.
So for me, it's looking at the brand itself, the core of where you want to be at the end of the day.
So you're looking at what the business goals are and then building the strategy
around. The bigger
around
picture and then unfolding it to that.
Well, let's go to social media in the last few minutes. We saw Facebook have a hemorrhage, really their first setback from a stock standpoint. They lost about 20% of value on Thursday. Lost over $100 billion in value, depending on how you treat these things. It was one of the biggest setbacks for a company. Don't cry for Facebook.
Are we going to cry for Twitter?
Twitter's having another bad day, down another 8% today. Twitter's got bigger issues related to the business model. One of the things that the stock market was off the quarterly for the second quarter, I guess, for Facebook was that their rate of growth in revenue was decreasing. Not that their revenue was decreasing, but their rate of growth, and that the number of people that had used consistently in the last 30 days had dropped from 1.49 billion to 1.47 billion users. I don't know. Once you get over 1 billion users, I'm thinking your business is pretty good for the next couple.
You're going to be all right.
You're going to be okay at least for the next quarter. Twitter's issue is different. They've had to shed a huge number of Twitter followers, Twitter accounts that were bots driven. We lost, I think in Providence, we have around 48,000, somewhere around there, and we lost around 400 or 500 of those. I was glad to see them go. We try and pick them off as they come in. They have no value to the communications. They give false numbers for everybody. It really becomes an undependable, unmeasurable tool for communications. We see much greater stability as a news organization and how to get content out to folks via Facebook than we do in Twitter. What was your takeaway as an agency? And I know when you work in, especially in media, sports, entertainment, and tech, those are really the four base groups that use Twitter the most, politics as well. Other spheres of business could care less about Twitter. What's been the impact on your agency and your social media staff?
So from our end, from a technology standpoint, it's clearly important for us for however we're working with our clients that they have a trustworthy platform.
Yeah.
Because all of our brands, when you look at like Unilever, they will not work with any influencer marketing that has any kind of issue like this when it comes to bots and things like that. You want to trust the brand that you're marketing to and marketing from. We make sure that we're going through, it's part of kind of our initial strategy and phased process to make sure that we kind of clean everything out before we start. So from that standpoint, from a brand presence for our clients, especially ones that are using Twitter as like their major platform.
So it's trust, authenticity, do you get a sense of, in the long term where, it's hard to predict any of these things. The world moves so quickly. From our business standpoint of how we distribute content, we feel very strongly that Facebook is a good distribution structure. Mm-hmm. It allows you to micro-target. We boost our content a lot, our news stories. If you've got a story about something in South County and you can tell people in South County, It's makes much more efficient. Google and the rest will allow search to take care of things, but it just absolutely dominates how information gets out and how information moves between search and social media.
Yeah, I don't think Facebook or Twitter are going away anytime soon. I think it's just the timing and where we are. After Cambridge Analytica, Facebook, they were fine, and now you're seeing like they're in it's a little bit of cleanup mode.
Yeah.
And investors are nervous and they're scared, but they're doing what they need to do to invest in the services that they need to right the ship.
They're both brands, and you especially are an expert at managing brands. You got any suggestions for either one of them as a brand manager as to how to weather the disruption and the maybe concern about stability? Just from a financial standpoint, I was looking down. Facebook lost about 2% again today,
yeah.
But Twitter took another 8% hit, and Facebook's got a lot of heft to it. Twitter's down, almost a third in just the past week.
Mm-hmm.
As a brand manager, what would your suggestion be?
Spread the wealth.
Yeah.
Don't just focus all your energies just on Facebook and the social channels. Really look at your brand holistically and where you want to be in the marketplace, looking at your competition and really what you want to stand for, because that's what's so important in this day and age is who do you want to be when you grow up, and what do you want the people to really, the public to really look at you as. So not just leveraging your social channels. Obviously, ideally important, and you need them, but looking at the larger picture.
Any other suggestions to brands in this? Is there a good way, besides hiring you guys, but to do sort of a brand assessment? What's how to look at themselves with some level of analysis and where they should, how they can assess the strengths and weaknesses of their brand?
Yeah, with every client, we do a research and analysis phase as the very first step that we take before we even dive into who you are, what you should look like, what should your brand color palette be, your brand book, is really understanding what are people saying about your brand.
Right.
And I mean, you can do that yourself. You can, take it to the street, asking those questions, talking to other consumers, really understanding what the brand perception is out there, then taking that feedback and molding yourself into where you need to be.
Great. As always, we appreciate you coming on. Congratulations on all the success of the Blockchain Summit.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I was there, and we had reporters over there, and we had all sorts of folks. Then we had folks back here, and I think we probably got 5 or 6 stories up on a range, and all the Providence media did. I know Steve went over and interviewed with 10 and some of the other folks, and
yeah, there was a lot of coverage.
Yeah, there was a lot of coverage.
Steve and David, there was a lot
of
great press around.
And I think it was, I said to somebody, it's kind of the way Rhode Island used to work. Instead of everybody being divided and partisan, it kind of was.
It was refreshing,
It
right?
was absolutely refreshing that kind of everybody in media, government, business kind of came together for a couple days, saw the opportunity to put on Rhode Island's best face, and joined together. And who knows what it will lead to, but it has the potential to be very, very significant. Any one or multiples of those companies could potentially relocate here or create business entities here. And it is an industry that, whether anybody likes it or not, is going to transform business in a lot of different ways and a lot of different structures, and it's going to be very disruptive.
In a positive way.
In some cases positive, and in some cases it's going to obliterate the past and some of the structures of the past and how things are managed now. So I think it's going to be very exciting, and there's, as we've all learned in all of these things, taxi drivers aren't going to stop Uber,
We're not going to stop blockchain.
And nobody's going to stop blockchain or these scooters that are going by on a regular basis. The only thing that's going to stop them is a curbstone. Thanks as always for coming on Business Monday. We're going to be right back in a second with Saul Kaplan, the Chief Catalyst over at Business Innovation Factory. We're going to be talking media and as well as merger mania here in Rhode Island. We'll be right back.